Hey guys, I'm Rachel Cruz.
I'm George Camel.
And this is Smart Money Happy Hour. Cheers, George.
Cheers.
Delicious. So this is the podcast where two friends who happen to be money experts talk about what you're talking about. Everything from pop culture, current events, and money.
And today, these millennials are living the dream. Literally, 90s nostalgia. Our childhood, Rachel. And how it affects our money. We're coming at you with Beanie Baby prices, velour tracksuits, and the potential return of Blockbuster. I kid you not.
It's
all happening.
So good. Okay, before we get into the episode, we are sipping on a great cocktail today.
You know what they say, Rachel? Hydrate or dihydrate.
Oh,
that's what the kids are saying.
That's what the kids are saying.
I think they mean with water, not with cocktails.
But
be careful.
We are hydrating too.
This is called a bottoms up, and it's very milky and delicious, and we'll tell you what's in it. We're going to give you the recipe and rate it at the very end of the episode, so stick around for that.
It's very different, but it's really good. Okay, so George, the 90s. How did you feel about the 90s? We were both 90s kids.
Yeah.
Officially.
I was born in 89,
and
so that was my time.
I was 88, so I was 2 in the 80s. I can't really claim the 80s.
Must be nice.
Can't claim the 80s.
Is it weird that your kids were born in like 2019? Like, that's just weird.
Isn't that crazy? I know. And when I say like I'm born in 1988, it starts to feel old. Like I feel like when people look at my ID somewhere, they just like see the 19 and they just think you're old.
Wow. That is weird because now like when they go to card people, they just see like, oh, is it 2001? Great.
That's right.
That's so weird.
The 19 is key.
Well, you're a great brand ambassador, I feel like, from the 90s because you keep up with the trends, and the 90s trends are back in.
They are.
Like the mom jeans are in, high-waisted, the hair parts, like everything, and you keep up. I don't.
It's kind of crazy, though. It's funny to see it cycle because I feel like the 80s kind of had their comeback for a little bit years ago, and now we're seeing the 90s. I'm like, no, I remember that stuff. I saw this girl on TikTok.
What's so special about it?
I don't know, but I saw this girl on TikTok and she had one of those hair, I don't know if you'll remember this. It's like a hair claw looking band. Like it has all these spikes and you put it up and it would have beads and stuff, but it would like part your hair all these ways.
And you leave it in like while you sleep? No,
it was like a headband.
Oh, okay.
But I saw this like 18-year-old girl try to like figure it out and she did it and she was like, oh my gosh, this is so cute. And she was like, if y'all know what era they wore these in, leave a comment because like this is adorable. I was like, what era?
Well, I saw there was like a vintage doll ad and it had like a little flip phone.
Oh, no.
And I was like, oh no, we're now vintage. It's all happening.
We have made it. Okay, so what about the 90s? Do you remember? Like list me off some stuff, George, just to take us back for the podcast.
I'm going to go. I was more into like the games, TV, internet, toys versus fashion because I had no fashion sense. I barely do today. If it wasn't for Whitney, we wouldn't be here. But games, I love Pogs. Did you ever play Pogs? Like I had a little flat
slammer.
Yes.
With a slammer.
The flat little milk caps. I love Pokemon. I loved Game Boy, Sega, Nintendo 64, PlayStation, the OG. I was obsessed.
Yes.
And then TV. Like, remember when TV was special?
Oh.
And like TGIF was on a
Big
Friday
deal.
night. And you were like,
Step by Step?
Yes. I found out all the shows that are on here. There were so many gems. Boy Meets World, Full House, Step by Step, Sister, Family Matters, Dinosaurs, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, and Hanging with Mr. Cooper. All on TGIF.
Y'all.
They had it. ABC had the market share for great TV.
They did. So I was more Nickelodeon kid. So like Legends of the Hidden Temple.
Yep.
Are You Afraid of the Dark? All of that. So good. Okay. And then I was like the shopper. Supermarket Sweep. That's come back.
The game shows.
Okay, and then here's the really vintage one. Not many people watch this one. Shop Till You Drop.
Yes.
With the 2-story mall. Do you remember that one?
I remember the 2-story mall.
And they were running from store to store. Oh,
we need to bring that back.
Shop Till You Drop.
Was that the beginning of like consumer culture craziness? I feel like they started it.
They probably did.
To where people just started doing that in real life.
Yeah.
But then music. Oh my gosh. I mean, NSYNC, Backstreet, Britney, it was all like that late 90s into the early 2000s. Now that's what I call music.
Oh, so good.
Who needs Spotify playlists when you have Now That's What I Call Music?
I know. Just get that CD and let it go.
And then all the foods, Rachel. And I thought it would be fun for this episode to bring you a vintage Dunkaroos.
Oh.
Yeah. Get a
You're
lot
gonna
of
pull out
that.
a Lunchable.
And I got you the best flavor, vanilla cookies and rainbow chip frosting.
George, what a gem you are. You are a giver.
Well, I can't eat them because gluten, so I
okay.
thought someone should enjoy this. They're not actually from the 90s, so you can eat them. They brought them
Yeah,
back.
it expires in September, so I think we're good.
Of
20
1997.
23.
Are you going to try one live on
Should
the...
I? I think I will.
This
Okay,
is a
so
big
my
moment.
fashion ones were, though, the butterfly hair clips.
Yep.
Anyone? And then the zigzag part. And you'd sit there with a comb and try to get the zigzag. The Olsen twins really rocked those. They were like in their
Were
prime.
they the influencers of the day?
I kind of think they were. They had
yeah.
some
1000%.
Yeah.
they had some gems. The
You
old
remember?
Olsen
Do you ever
twins.
watch How the West Was Fun?
Yes.
That was one of my favorites.
You love that one at the
Yeah,
Olsen twins?
I was obsessed with the Mary Kate and Ashley books.
Yes.
And then the movies with Bart Gaffuli. Go back and watch that.
Okay, did you in your room, did you have the glow in the dark stars on your ceiling?
Oh, 100%. Yes. I can still see them. If
and
I
then
look
you know what
up,
I got that
they're
I
right
felt
there.
very like, oh my gosh. At one point I had a blow up chair. It was
couch.
like
The
yes, but it was
inflatable furniture era?
I had the inflatable, and then I had beads that would come down from my doorway.
Oh, yeah. Lava
that
lamps.
And that you would walk in and lava lamps, all of it. Yeah, y'all. That was my jam.
I feel like all that stuff is now hippie. You know, like lava lamps and beads and stone. Is it hitting?
It's so good.
She
Y'all.
was just transported.
Y'all. That is unbelievable.
It's 1998. You're on the house phone.
I'm on the house phone with my own line. Did
That's
you ever have
right.
your own line?
No, we weren't that level of wealth, Rachel. We had the party line.
Oh,
If you picked up,
I
like
know.
you remember those days
I remember
when
you had
someone
to
had to call
unplug for the internet, though.
You had to do that. The AOL free trial discs.
I remember me and Denise, we had a landline. We got our own line when we were like in probably middle school.
Wow.
And I remember the message on our answering machine.
Please, can you
Are you ready for this?
say it out loud?
My Dunkaroo needs to.
Okay, let her chew,
I
America.
don't want to choke.
Does
We-
it still
we-
hit the same though, those Dunkaroos?
We wrapped.
You and Denise, your sister, rapped into the voicemail on the phone.
You had the answering machine.
Okay, was there like a beat to it? Did someone do it? Like, did she do the beat and you did the rap, or did you both rap?
I think we both did it. I think we saw this somewhere.
I'm so nervous right
Yeah,
now.
let's give her a minute.
This show was great while it lasted.
Oh no. Okay. I'm not gonna be able to get through it. Y'all gonna make me laugh.
Hey, quiet on set.
No, I don't. You're making me nervous. Okay.
How did we?
We didn't even get far. What's the message?
Are you beatboxing while you were rapping?
One of them was probably.
This is Rachel and Denise's line. You know what to do. Leave a message and we'll get back to you.
At any point, did you think this should rhyme or like be an actual rap?
This rhyme.
At what point did that what you just said rhyme?
This is Rachel and Denise's line. You know what to do. Leave a message and we'll get back to you.
Okay, one more time. I'm trying to get the cadence of it. Like, okay, I'll do the beatboxing.
I can't. It's bleeding into me singing right now, and I'm very nervous about it. I just got to rap. So I'm done, George. It happens. And that's
This
it.
is Rachel and Denise's line.
You know, yep.
You already had a rough start. Just all those syllables packed in there like a Bob Dylan
Oh
song.
my god.
I know you think we're
So
rappers,
it started
but
with,
we aren't.
this is Rachel and Denise's line.
You know what to do.
Why? That's such few syllables to put after such a long line.
George, we were in like the 5th grade. I don't know.
This is Rachel and Denise's line. You know what to do. Leave a,
message.
and we'll get back to you. Okay, it was more of that cadence.
Ooh, no. My version was
I
better.
botched it. Oh, I'm sorry. Somehow, that was the worst take we've heard of
That
that
wasn't
today.
it at all, actually.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, let's.
So
For
anyways.
anyone who's still listening out there, we're going to talk about how this relates to money. I promise you. And let's talk about why we're bringing this up. This all was sparked because we were in a meeting and we found out that Blockbuster is coming back potentially.
I can't believe this, and I'm so happy about it. So, The Guardian predicted a potential comeback in a recent article saying that Blockbuster's website recently put up a brand new landing page and said, "We are working on rewinding your movie." What is happening?
The instant serotonin rush of having to rewind. Like you're like, oh gosh, we got to rewind.
Oh man, Blockbuster. Those were the days though. There is something to be said. There's character to be built when you grew up with a Blockbuster. That you didn't get everything on demand. And you would go and then your movie wouldn't be behind the case. And you dealt with disappointment
And
as
you
a
had
child.
to pivot
You had to pivot.
and go for your second choice.
Yes. Like there is limits in life and you learned that in Blockbuster. And kids don't learn that these days.
Well, and we paid attention. When that movie was on, you were glued.
Oh,
now
my
we put on a
gosh.
movie for background while we go on our phones.
So true. Yes.
After spending 45 minutes trying to choose something on Netflix.
No, and you
at our
go
disposal.
to the case and it felt like an endless amount, but there was an endless.
I feel like I can remember the smell.
No, it was so good. And when you had like a sleepover, did your parents like bring all your friends and y'all got to pick out? I mean, it's the whole thing. It's a whole
Really special.
experience. If they opened up a Blockbuster, I think I would do it.
Like, what,
And take my
would it
kids
be VHS, DVDs? I guess Blu-ray would have to be.
Yeah,
the thing.
it would be Blu-ray. Yeah,
I don't even know if I have a Blu-ray.
I kind of
player.
would go back. I would go back in time. I would invest. I would.
You
I think
say
it's
that.
great.
That's the question. Would people actually show up if they reopened a Blockbuster,
Probably
or is it
not.
more like a nice to?
You think they would?
I would.
Well, I know you would, and I would because we're good people. But do you think that like
Thank you, Rach.
the world would?
I think
I don't
that,
know if the
a
world
lot of
would.
millennials would. We love nostalgia.
You were a Blockbuster family though. There was like Movie Gallery and some other ones. We had like a little local one in my town.
Oh yeah, Hollywood. There was a Hollywood
video.
Hollywood video. I
That
remember
was a big
But
one.
Blockbuster was it? Yeah, that was the one. That was ours, our go-to.
But Dave and Sharon were cool with you guys renting movies on the weekend. Like, how did that
Sure.
go down?
Yeah.
They just would take you there and go, all right, pick a movie.
So what's crazy is like you had Blockbuster, and then you had was it Redbox that kind of came out in between, and that's when Netflix started coming on the scene. But they
Yeah.
would be DVDs, and they would ship it to your house.
I was a part of that. Did you?
Yes,
were you a
we
part of the
did that
early days
too.
of
Yep,
Netflix?
we did, and come in that red envelope.
Yes.
Yep.
And it was magical. I mean, that was still like a really
still felt
cool,
great.
something showed up in the mail. You were waiting to see this movie. But then Netflix started to take over.
Yep.
And Redbox, I don't know that they're still around.
Yeah, I don't think I ever did Redbox. Did you?
Oh, I love them. They're only $1.
But like no one's doing it today.
They're still around.
They're around, but who's doing it?
Obviously someone, because they're still there.
Because they're still there.
Okay, I believe it.
So, but Blockbuster, yeah, it almost just like tanked overnight when Netflix went from the DVDs to streaming in 2010. And so this map of the US is actually pretty fascinating. It shows the rise and the decline of Blockbuster franchise throughout the mid 1980s through the early 2000s. And you just like literally watch
The
it.
time
Just
lapse of it growing to over 5,000 and then just shrinking back
goes
down
back.
to one tiny store. That's right.
but there's actually one store, yeah, still in Oregon.
Bend, Oregon, if you want to go. It's a tourist attraction. They have merch that says Blockbuster and chill, apparently. I don't know that I'd like take a trip out there just for that. It feels like a lot of effort.
I know, it sounds fun though. Why not?
Oh boy. Well, we can't predict the future. Like I would have never guessed that it was like, oh, one day these will all go away. We'll never pop in a DVD ever again. But
Yeah.
here we are. And so it makes you think like what else is going to go away that we know and love today?
Ooh, that's a great question.
I don't know. What else could become irrelevant?
I mean, the obvious stuff
Stanley
is like
Cups? I mean, obviously fashion trends, they come and go.
yeah, but technology is what's interesting because once you
Moves
like
so fast.
once you live with technology though, you always think, oh, it's going to be around forever. A Game Boy, you'll always have it. A Walkman, you'll always have it. Like or iPods. I remember having an iPod and then thinking your iPod's turning into a phone.
Oh, yeah.
Like with the iPhone, you know what I mean? Like I just can never imagine beyond what we have. So I'm like, yeah, would the iPhone become irrelevant one day?
The iPhone?
Yeah, because people talk about like the glasses. Have you seen this like future? What is wrong?
So
Are you
I'm wearing
okay?
my glasses and I can see my entire iPhone in
Yeah,
my
and
eyeball.
there's like a whole thing, and like it's like the eye movement. Have y'all not seen this? The
That
rapid eye
scares
movement,
me.
all this. Yeah, like it's like a new
Well, like
thing.
Google Glass just died. Like they shut that thing down because nobody wanted it.
Is that what I'm
So,
talking about?
Maybe. I think so. I just don't know. Like some things sound cool and futuristic, but they don't. Like, we all thought we'd have flying cars by now. If we're gonna be honest, we barely have self-driving cars. I mean, Teslas. You know, they're trying.
Yeah, I think that will be the future, though. I think when I get in my Tesla, I think this is the future of cars. Like I really
They're
do.
onto something.
Yes,
that will stick
I
around.
just don't see it ever going back, and they're so advanced. It feels like that. I just feel like every car eventually will get to that point.
Well, technology flips so fast now. I mean,
I
you buy
know.
something, and then 2 years later, it's like you still have the iPhone 12. Oh my gosh,
I've lost count of like the iPhone numbers now.
we're at 14. 14.
Thank you, George. And you have a watch, Apple
I've
Watch.
got the watch.
And that's been around for a good bit.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to go away. I think we'll always have like wearable tech. I think that's going to be. Now they have like rings that like check your heartbeat.
Oh, yeah.
They have baby stuff where the baby puts a sock on and it's always like capturing their heartbeat.
I know. Are you going to get one for baby
Probably.
camel?
Well, the 90s saw a lot of tech advances, of course, and iconic trends. I mean, I remember when you logged onto the internet, it was special. There was only
Those
4
noises.
websites you could go to. You'd load up AIM.
Yep.
And you'd go, who's logged on to
Watch
chat?
that little yellow guy with the blue backgrounds.
And now I can text my friends at any time. And I don't.
No, and people say like the good old days, and were they, George? Like, if we could,
I think it was simpler times.
I think it was simpler times.
I know we look
too.
back with like nostalgia, and now we're like, we would never want to go back. But there's a level, I think we all feel of anxiety that we did not have back then.
Well, you think
largely
about
due to technology.
So much. I mean, I think every study that's out around technology and social media is negative. I mean, like, it's not good for us, and I feel like that's being proven over and over and over.
That's
When you have teenagers, I mean, all the above. So. Yeah, I feel like it was a simpler time. You didn't know if you weren't invited to a birthday party because it wasn't posted everywhere, you know?
Well, the 90s were historically, Wikipedia says, remembered as a time of strong economic growth, steady job creation, low inflation, rising productivity, economic boom, and a surging stock market.
Yep. And research from Brookings Institution also says that personal bankruptcies climbed and personal savings rates plummeted. So isn't that interesting that even though even though they say, and it was a great economic time in the 90s, personally, a lot of people did struggle, which probably has a lot of theories, a lot of reasons why. But I think that's one reason, too, even in our world today, regardless of what the news is saying, positive or negative about the economy, like what is going on in your home? And I think that's what's important is focusing, again, because in the 90s, it was strong economic growth, all this stuff, but bankruptcies were climbing. I mean, like people weren't doing well to a degree. So again, focusing on what's going on in your home versus what the headlines are saying is always a good rule of thumb in life, George.
That's good. I like that. And, all the technology back then, cell phones, laptops, email, the You've Got Mail vibes, which I finally just watched. I know you're proud of me. I'd never seen it.
What did you think about it?
It held up really nicely.
It did.
And it made me think, simpler times.
Simpler times.
There's no texting. They had to show up.
I know. It was a great movie.
And all the portables, too. That was a big time for portables. The Walkman, the Motorola, the built-in CD-ROM drives and laptops. That was a big deal when they got CD-ROM.
I remember that.
CD-ROM drives.
CD-ROM drives.
But there's a lot of other things that disappeared outside of Blockbuster. Do you remember some of the ones?
Here's a list, and this is going to make me very sad. But we're going to go down. We're
like
going to go down memory lane here.
The 90s graveyard.
Borders, bookstores. Borders. Yep.
R.I.P.
Toys R Us. That one is still a shock to me that they went out of business. I can't believe that.
They just didn't innovate. They just said, we
can't
won't sell anything online.
Believe that. Circuit City.
Love Circuit City.
I know. Tower Records. Delia's. I would get that catalog in the mail.
Was that like a Claire's type place?
No, it was closed, but it was all catalog, wasn't it? Or did they have stores?
No, they had a store.
Okay, I don't think we had a store in Nashville. But I would get the catalog. Delia's. Oh my gosh, that's
This
so
one's
weird.
more in my lane. Comp USA.
Was that the computer?
I loved going to, No,
Was that?
You could get computers there.
Yeah. I don't know if I remember.
I just remember going and getting like a thumb drive with like 500 megabytes on it, which I know means nothing to you. That feels like a lot of space to you. But that's half a gigabyte. So think about your phone has 128
You're still saying
gigabytes.
words that I don't care about.
Anyways, for the nerds out there, you'll remember CompUSA. My CompUSA homies out there. They're out there.
Zany Brainy. Why do I know that name?
I wasn't a Zany Brainy guy.
But I can't remember what it
I
is.
can't grasp it, but I remember that. Zany Brainy.
I do remember KB Toys.
I don't remember that one.
We had that one in the mall, and I'd go there and get my tech decks. Remember the tech decks?
No, I don't. Tell me more.
They're tiny skateboards. And so I was a big skater boy. And so we would have like entire skate parks that were like handheld, and we'd go to our friends' houses and we'd film with a camera, like to see if we could land tricks on our fingerboards.
And
is what
you
they're called.
thought my rapping was uncool.
I'll be honest, tech decks were the coolest thing back in the day. We were actually punk rock. In the suburbs.
Oh, boy.
In the suburbs.
Oh, my gosh.
Okay, Sharper Image, Sports Authority. Sports Authority's gone?
Are you thinking Academy Sports, or what are you thinking?
I remember Sports Authority. And it is gone. I guess it is. I mean, I haven't seen
You
it.
didn't
but
support them. You should have done more sports.
man, Suncoast Motion Picture Company and Sam Goody.
Sam
There's my
Goody.
Sam Goody. I thought it was always Sam and Goodies, but with
You
plural.
call it, do you call it Kroger's too and Walmart's?
No, but Castner Nuts, I did. Castner Nut.
Wow.
That's an old Southern department
They're all
store.
a relic of the past now.
I know, it's so
So
sad.
there was a lot of suburban growth going on, shopping malls, and so all these stores popped up. And then because of tech, they disappeared.
Man,
Everyone just went, nah, we can do that online now.
we can just do that,
We don't
Here with
need to
this
go
little- with this little
buy the CD
device.
when we get
No,
on
I
iTunes
know.
or Napster.
So what's crazy is
LimeWire, Rachel.
LimeWire. Totally did. Did you download
Oh,
illegal music?
100%.
I mean, I did all the time, and then viruses would always hit, and I was like, ugh, I can't tell everyone that I downloaded.
And then I have to go to my dad, and be like, oh, something happened to
Something
the
happened to the computer. It's going so slow. I know.
Gosh.
I know.
So embarrassing.
Golly. Those were the good old days. Okay, but what's funny is now all the teens on TikTok are bringing the 90s back.
Bless them.
I know. So now it's
And it's all new to them. They're very excited.
They're very excited about
Juicy
everything.
Couture is having a comeback.
Yes.
Birkenstock is huge.
Champion, the big sweatshirts
Yep.
and stuff. I'm like, oh my gosh.
God bless, but Jinko jeans is coming back. You remember those? The super wide leg all the way down.
Are you sure they really are? Those are back?
Doc Martens. Huge comeback for Doc Martens.
Yes. Oh, Abercrombie, they're back, and I am all for it.
Have you been there?
On my
Have
jeans.
you shop there online? Or what?
Online. Oh, yeah, online.
Oh, wow.
All my jeans now, my pants, my shorts for the summer, my
Good for
tops,
them.
and my sweaters were all Abercrombie this winter.
But you remember walking into an Abercrombie back in the day?
Yeah, and you had to scoot past the dude who
Yes.
was shirtless.
And you were just hit with a wall of cologne.
No, it's
and
so
it was super
bad.
dark and loud, and they're blasting club music.
I know, and Hollister always tried to be up there. PacSun, there was always the stores that tried to be Abercrombie, but Abercrombie still made the.
Still the goat.
Yeah.
And Tommy Hilfiger and Guess making a comeback.
Really?
Some classic, iconic brands.
Those are classics. So,
How do they pull it off, Rachel?
man, well, many of them now partner with influencers.
Back to our influencers episode we did.
So instead of probably these massive marketing campaigns on commercials and TV, all that, they don't do that anymore. Or magazines, there's no magazines or newspapers. So yeah, they go straight to the influencer on social media, and it works. It works because they're back. So our middle school wardrobe, George, that was so
Maybe for
retro.
you. I don't think my wardrobe from middle school is coming back.
Oh, really?
Not a great era for a lot of the guys out there.
Okay, one thing, since we're speaking of clothes, the ladies will appreciate this. And I saw it literally this weekend on Instagram. The popcorn shirts. Do you remember these shirts that were
Yes.
tiny?
Yes.
And you put on, they would expand.
Stretch.
They're back.
No.
They are back. Yep, they're back.
That hurts my
So
brain.
just take that in for a second too.
Okay.
No.
Well, this is wild. Abercrombie and Fitch brought in more revenue in 2021 than they did in 2004.
No.
Is that inflation? I don't know how they're doing it.
No, you know what? I will say this. Stores are so much better now with women and how they look. Because before, it was you had to be the certain body type to fit into these certain clothes, all this. And now it's oh yeah, everything is celebrated, body types. So the range of everything.
Sizes
from
for
curvy-
everyone,
yes,
which expands
they
their
do.
market. It used to be well, if you don't look like this, then you're not for us.
100%. Yep. And I think they've nixed that. So I
That's
think that
good.
was their 2004 slogan. And now it's oh yeah, we're gonna make clothes for everybody. And of course the revenue
That's
goes up.
amazing.
Smart.
Well, in 2017, Juicy Couture collaborated with Urban Outfitters to produce a 2000s nostalgia collection. I used to work at Urban Outfitters.
No, you didn't.
Yeah. For a short season in 2009. And I still am I've been back there. I'm who's wearing these clothes, Rachel? But it's all the 90s stuff coming back. And I can't wear baggy clothes.
No, you can't.
Look,
Nope.
I'm wearing my dad's. It does not a good fit.
Yeah, I think you're
They
smart,
told me
George.
skinny jeans were out.
Yeah, no, you stay on your track, George.
Thank you. You said that with just beautiful condescension. Thank you.
Okay, so what's crazy though is nostalgia actually releases the same chemicals in the mind as joy. So it's dopamine and serotonin. So it honestly does make you feel good. So when you see these these items coming back as new that remind you of your childhood, you are going to be more apt to buy because it chemically literally hits your
Reminiscing.
brain. Yes.
Feels good.
Isn't that interesting? It makes sense. I'm yeah, I get that. So when you do feel this nostalgia and you're oh my gosh, I do kind of want to go back and try this stuff, you can easily overspend. And it's not just fashion, George, because other brands are coming back, record players are coming back, Game Boy's coming back, all this stuff. So it can be easy to overspend if you get very excited to go back to your childhood. So again, making sure hey, do I have the money? Is it in the budget? And then I would say too, add to cart and don't buy.
Ooh.
Wait 2 days and then see, did all the serotonin and everything
Did it
die
fade?
down? And then you're do I really need that? you really can
That's
go
big.
through that process.
Well, a lot of these companies use urgency and scarcity to market to you, to go like, this is a limited release.
yes.
You will never get this again. And so everyone jumps on it at top dollar price,
Yep.
making them record profits.
That's right.
And then we go, oh gosh, it's just another thing that's going to sit in my closet. Like I
Yes.
just wanted it because everyone else wanted it, and
And
I
it was
thought
fun
I'd never get it.
and all this stuff. Yeah,
So
that's
if
right.
you are susceptible to that kind of FOMO, you need some extra pause and need to be extra tight on that budget to go like, if you want it, it's great, budget for it.
Yep.
And do it for the right reasons, but don't just do it because of like FOMO.
That's right. Okay, I'm going to give you a list of items, George. I want to know if
Okay.
you would buy this stuff at this price. Are you ready?
Ooh.
So a Sony Walkman portable cassette player is $199. $200. Would you buy it?
No.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
I'm
No.
going to go like $20 max.
Tamagotchi, $17.99.
That's a good price. I can spring for that.
Okay. Would
You
you
gotta
buy
keep
it?
it alive. It's
Would
like
you buy a Tamagotchi?
I might as well just buy a houseplant if I'm going to try to
I
keep
know.
something alive.
I wouldn't buy it. The Prada nylon purse is $1,400. It increased, are you ready for this? 815% in the last 3 years.
Who's buying this?
I don't know, but not me.
Yikes.
Oh God, rare edition Beanie Babies for up to $41,000. No, people.
Who are these? I want to meet these people.
That's stupid. I'm not mean on this podcast a lot, but if you spend $41,000 on a Beanie Baby, I just don't think that's wise.
You can't be friends. Even Rachel won't be nice to you.
I don't
and
think
she was
I
voted
am.
friendliest in high school. And even she's like, no.
I think that's really stupid. So
That's
no, I wouldn't do that.
Like either you have an addiction of some sort or you are so wealthy that you're bored.
I guess. Okay, 90s Nike tennis shoes, $119. That could be fun.
That feels fair.
Yeah, that feels fair. I can go there.
All right.
Throwback claw clips on Amazon. I've done it. Yes, $9.99, 100%.
That's a good price point.
Yep, for sure. Precious Moments. God loveth the cheerful giver figurine for $25. A vintage Nintendo Game Boy for $130.
Ooh.
That's pretty fun.
I just found an old one at the house and it still worked. I cleaned up. There was like all the
Stop.
weird, like gross battery.
Tetris, like
It
and
had
all the little
Pokemon
games.
loaded up in there.
Yeah, it did. That's
So
awesome.
I would do that, but then Nintendo Switch is actually like I haven't played video games in so long, but the Switch is actually really cool.
Oh my gosh, the original Molly American Girl dolls up to $3,000. We have that. My girls play with my original.
Sell it and pay for their college with it. You put it in a good growth stock mutual fund, Rachel. You know.
That's unbelievable.
That's big money.
A Michael Jordan jersey is only $150.
Now,
I'm
this is
shocked.
like a remake from the 90s. It's the style. Okay.
I'm
I thought it was like an
shocked.
original. I was like, there's no way. Okay.
A Mary-Kate and Ashley So Little Time full series DVD set. Are you ready for this? $109.
I'll go in on that with
George, should we do it?
I feel like we
Should we
should.
do it?
you. As long as we can also watch How the West Was Fun after and have a pizza party.
And go to Blockbuster.
Would your girls watch like a Mary-Kate and Ashley movie
Oh,
today?
yeah, they would love it.
And they would it would hit still.
I kind of think it would. I really do.
Okay.
I'll try it. We'll see. So there's a lot of nostalgia here, George. So what can we learn from Blockbuster all the way to these trends?
Well, number one, a lot of people buying this stuff, they're justifying the purchase by saying, well, it's an investment. Like it's going to hold its value. I can resell it later for more, and therefore I'm going to buy it. We don't believe in buying collectibles as an investment. If you want to buy collectibles and do it with a budget with cash because you're passionate, that's fine. But when you're investing, stick to the stock market and mutual funds and real estate. And, there may be a lucky person out there who can sell that Beanie Baby for $40,000 because apparently someone's buying it. But don't bank on that being you.
Yeah, that's good.
And so do your research when you buy this stuff.
I would also say don't be emotional with the purchase, because even as we listen to this, it's like
Everything's
oh my gosh,
emotional.
My memory, I can tell you this and that, and so you can let that go on overdrive. You end up spending way more than you should based on emotion. So don't let that dopamine rush take over your purchasing decisions. Let that die down on anything, nostalgia or not. Let that die down and figure out, do I really need the item?
That's good advice. And then we have our Ramsey baby steps, which is get out of debt, build wealth, and it's all in a certain order. So if you're on baby step 7, meaning you have no debt, a paid-for house, and you've got an interest in some of this crazy stuff, like, the vintage stuff, the specialty stuff that's only once in a lifetime, it's super expensive, go for it. But make sure that you have a good balance of saving, giving, and spending.
Yep.
If you're too out of control in one area, you got a flat tire.
Yep, for sure. And then last, I would say, make sure that you don't feel like you are diving into every trend all the time. Because there's always going to be something, right? Like whether it's technology or clothes, like there's always going to be the new trend. and then you end up spending a lot of money. And then what does America do? They switch trends. And so companies and all that, they switch they switch what they're doing with stuff. And then you're like, oh gosh, everything I just bought now is irrelevant. So now I got to go buy what's relevant. So
it feels exhausting. That's the biggest thing with trends for me I don't have the mental or emotional bandwidth to keep up.
So what I do is I'm like, if I really like something that's very trendy, I'm like, I'll buy a couple of things, but just not high quality. Because I'm like, it's probably not going to be out soon, right?
Buy the knockoff cheap version.
No, I do that, but just like...
Fine, get the Prada nylon purse.
No,
for
I don't want.
$3,000.
I'm not doing that. But yeah, so just kind of balance out, hey, what is... where can I kind of skimp on the quality just to be with the trend, and then once it's done, it's done.
That's legit. All right, so Lindsay is going to give us a few 90s rapid-fire questions, and we just have to respond with the first thing that comes to mind.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yep.
All right, favorite 90s TV show, go.
Step by step.
Friends.
Favorite 90s snack?
Dunkaroos.
Gushers.
Love it. 90s celebrity crush?
Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
Britney Spears.
Okay. Best 90s pop band?
NSYNC.
Backstreet Boys.
Whoa.
Okay.
We'll dually.
More soul, more talent. What can I say?
Favorite 90s fashion trend?
Oh man, I'm gonna go butterfly clips. I had so many of those that I would go.
I'm going to go windbreakers.
Nice.
Love a wind.
Nice.
Someone's got to do it.
Thank you.
Let the jacket break the wind.
Oh my. Last one. The best Christmas or birthday gift you ever received as a 90s kid?
Oh my gosh.
George, if you have yours, go first.
A Fender Squier Kids electric guitar. Coolest
That's
gift
good.
anyone could get.
I got the pink version of the Home Alone talkback.
I don't know what that is.
In Home Alone where he had the thing that like would.
Oh yes.
I got that, but in pink.
Love it.
Yeah.
Wow.
It
That's
was
where
great.
you learned how to talk back.
It was great.
It all started back then.
All started there in that little recorder.
Wow. That's fun.
So good.
I'm sure everyone listening and watching is reminiscing now if they're anywhere near
I
our
hope
age.
they are because it's so fun.
Yeah,
All
having a
right,
good
we're
time.
almost to the end of the episode, and this is when we do the segment Guilty as Charged. And this is where our producer Lindsay gives us a new Guilty as Charged question every week. And if we are guilty, we have to take a sip of the drink. Lindsay, what is it this week?
Hit us.
Yep. All right. Have you ever bought something that your parents didn't approve of?
Ooh.
Oh, man. Yes.
You go. Do you have it?
Yeah.
There's so many. Rachel's like, oh my god.
I know. Well, like a Hollister skirt.
Like a jean skirt. Like one of the jean skirts?
No, it was like the cloth, like the.
Okay, the like
a
cotton
tennis
ones.
skirt?
No.
Like a pencil skirt? I'm running out. I don't know any more
I don't
skirts.
even know how
I
to
can visualize
describe
like
it.
a cotton one.
Yes,
Does it have like
yeah.
the drawstring.
Yes,
like,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Was it not modest
and
enough?
I wore it, and he was like, "You got to take that back. That looks like a washcloth."
That
So
is
what did I do? Put it in my
classic.
purse and changed at the movie theater.
You know Papa Dave is listening to this right now
What's he
going,
gonna do to me?
Does he
Come
know?
and like
but
say
is he
you're
finding this out for
grounded?
the first time that you did that?
Probably. Well, no, we had confession night at the lake house a few years ago. Oh my god! So we told mom and dad and
That's a spin-off podcast
that
right
was
there.
the nice one.
Just record that.
and we told
Yes.
them everything of if we snuck out, stuff we
Yeah.
did.
So I bought some punk rock CDs. I grew up in a very it was Arabic evangelical Christian, Veggie Tales all day long, not watching MTV. And so I bought, a Blink-182 CD, and it says parental advisory. And, my parents were less than enthused
Oh yes,
that I bought that without their knowledge. Strawberries was the name of our record store.
Strawberries.
Is where I'd go.
There was a clothing store called Strawberry
Wow.
back in the day too.
Maybe in the South, in Boston, it was all rock and roll to us. Buying my Britney Spears CDs and Blink-182 CDs.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. That's so funny.
But music
George.
was the one for me where I was like, I feel bad. Like you had headphones at the time
Yep,
on my Walkman or whatever. And so
Yep.
they didn't know what I was listening
and
to.
they didn't know. What a rebel!
I turned out okay.
What a rebel, George!
Ooh.
Unbelievable. Okay, so I think we're both
I'm like
guilty.
sweating, confessing
Well,
all
me
of this.
too. Geez, golly.
You're going to be getting
Okay.
you're going to,
Let's talk about this drink though, because
Yeah.
I think I finished, and I just see
yeah.
it's kind of wigging me.
Okay,
It's kind of
so
wigging
this
me
is
out.
called-
I'm wigged out now.
It's a bottoms up I think Rachel was much closer to finishing,
which
almost
I
to the
shouldn't have.
end.
Now I'm regretting.
What's your rating? You seem to enjoy it.
Before I saw the end of the glass, it was gonna be like a 8. Like I thought it was really good.
So visually,
I don't think I would like order it at a restaurant though.
It lost a point for you visually.
Yeah, because there's an ingredient here that's really sketch, and
I'll tell you what it is, Rachel.
I see
this
it.
includes cognac, Cointreau, which is a triple sec, grenadine, heavy cream, and egg yolk.
Not egg white, which is in a lot of cocktails. Egg yolk, which didn't wig me out until the end of this glass.
Yeah.
So,
But if you like kind of like a boozy, creamy drink, I thought it was good.
yeah.
I'd probably give it a 7 out of 10. I'm not big on like dairy drinks that are like thicker.
Yep. That's
Feels like I
kinda
had a
how it felt.
milkshake, but it's really good, and it only costs $2.86 a glass, which was surprising.
So great. Okay, so I'm going to say this,
Try it out.
George, since we like just meshed both of those. If you have a guilty as charged question or an idea, DM us on social at George Kim with a K, at Rachel Cruz. And if you liked the drink or you want to try it, make sure to check out the recipe in the show notes because it is there. And of course, we always would love for you to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss an
Yes.
episode, and share it with a friend, rate it, just kind of engage with it because it helps us get the word out because we have fun doing it.
Yes, and if you love a good nostalgia moment, you love this episode, leave us a review, comment on YouTube. We've got a lot of people now watching us over there, so appreciate you guys tuning in, seeing all of Rachel's hilarious reactions. It's a good time. And join us next Thursday for an all-new episode of
Smart Money Happy Hour.